Welcome back from Lesson 2. In the last lesson, we covered how reality creates itself out of cycles of fractal experiences. In other words, we saw with minimum principles how it is possible to create something out of nothing. We also saw the importance for a specific form to stay authentic in order to serve as a foundation for a supportive dimension. We saw the importance of creativity and how inspiring other forms to stay authentic is crucial for the building of fractality. I'm glad you're here with me for the topics of Lesson 3, balancing the cycles of fractal experiences in existence. Take a sit back, try to let the information flow in. During this lesson, we will cover the aspects that gives rise to the diversity we are experiencing in the forms and how they coexist one another. We will also go into details about what heaven metaphorically represents and understanding what space and time is according to formless teachings. We will see the role of the point of reference and the perspective as experienced by a form. We will also cover the topics of extremities and their effects on balancing cycles of fractal experiences. After covering this topic, we finally have the answers for the why, the what, and the how. Why we and everything exists. What are we and everything really are? How does it work so flawlessly? Alright, let's get to it. When we talk about diversity and balance, we have no choices but to refer back to Lesson 2 on the topic of fractality and supportive dimensions. We saw that the natural behavior for any form is to multiply what is working for itself in order to create something new. The novelty of the new form will be used as an inspiration and a foundation for new forms of experiences that were not previously available. All the potential interactions in a specific dimension of reference will take place, but only the most resilient and balanced forms of experience will thrive and replicate themselves. That does not mean that more exotic, unbalanced forms of experience will not come to existence. Actually, the balance of existence also depends on extremities. Exotic forms, even being unstable and having a relative short span of existence, are as necessary as their balanced counterparts. When we traditionally think of heaven, we think about a place where the problems of our form doesn't follow us. We think of perfection, a place where we transcend the consequences of the form. Thinking of heaven this way helps to better understand the zero state of non-existence. The following question arises. What if heaven was a place of perfection for all forms, instead of conditioning it to the human form? Heaven would be a place where time and space would exist in a way that every form would be squeezed into its perfect place, with no possibility for mobility whatsoever. There will be no need for things to experience space, since they would be in a perfect zero-state equilibrium. So no space, no movement through time. No space and no time means no form of experiences. No forms of experiences means no resistance between the links that bind the forms together. No resistance means a flow of unalterated and pure energy that exists out of space and time, the theoretical zero state of non-existence. Now that we understand that a dimension with no space and time would be a state of non-existence where experiences will not be allowed to take place, we can go into the subject of space and time. Our experience and observations tell us one thing for sure. Whatever it is we observe, it exists in space and ripples through time. If a form of experience exists in a theoretical state and we try to measure it by reproducing the environment, we create a manifestation of a theoretical state of the form in space and time. It is impossible in existence to reproduce the theoretical state of perfection. This is what separates us from the primordial state of existence. Our universal experience of the existence is a byproduct of a perfect theoretical state of existence, the other side of a two-sided coin. In a common multidimensional experience of existence, the simple measurement of a form is a confirmation of its presence in space and time. Space and time is a result of the need for forms to evolve according to their environment. Each element occupying a place in space is interacting with its environment. There is two types of interaction that are simultaneously happening. The interaction regarding the point of reference deals with the scope of what is impacting the form that is experiencing the interactions. It's what is happening outside that gets inside the form and transform, or what inspires its experience of reality, characterizing its authenticity. The interactions regarding the perspective deals with the scope of what is manifested by the form that is experiencing the interactions. It's what is happening inside the form and is reflected outside as inspiration. characterizing its creativity. To have a better understanding of the interactions between the point of reference and perspective, we need to have a better understanding of space and time. Space as we experience it in relation to space and time is the characteristic of the separation from pure energy necessary for the existence of experiences. As we saw in Lesson 1 and 2, zero is theoretical and constituted of pure energy. No forms take place, and so reality cannot create to experience itself under those conditions. Space and its various size is the physical illusion of separation between cyclic fractal experiences. The separation, or space, characterizes the degree of impact. The less the separation between the two forms is, the more impact there is. The more the separation between the two forms is, the less is the impact. Separation, or space, exists under a spectrum just like experiences does. They can never exist in a zero state of superposition. Time as we experience it in relation to space and time characterizes the degree of resistance toward the separation from the pure energy necessary for the existence of experiences. Once again, no existence of experiences can take form in a perfectly formed environment. Time is the interpretation of the illusion for the degree of resistance opposed by the forms experiencing existence. When a form experiences existence, it is not self-aware that the separation from the pure energy is necessary for its existence and does not transcend its own form. This creates a necessity for reconnection to the source. For each form of experiences, the point of reference and its perspective is different from one another. That means the reconnection to the source will take different form of replication through multiplication. Each experiences of the existence has its unique degree of resistance and characterizes the point of reference. The state of existence the form experiences has in consequence of been trying to fill the void and reconnect to the source. More primordial forms of experiences of existence are basic enough and are considered stable forms of existence. They transmit the energy with the least resistance since the complexity of their form is rather simple. Without going into forms, know that they are the foundation for our physical reality. The more complex and exotic a form of experience takes, the more dimensions it will need to support its connections to the source of pure energy. Those dimensions each have their characteristics and also are the foundations for our physical reality. The fractal experiences of reality are creating themselves because of the need for reconnecting the separation to the source. In consequence of the reality of fractal experiences in existence, the information is infinite. Forms of experiences have for goal to transcend themselves, and so the experience will render the information that is necessary to achieve such a goal. Once the form of experience has achieved a transcendental state, the reconnection is done and energy will stably flow through it in order to build more complex and exotic forms of experiences. This is the sacrifice a form of experience have to do in order to reconnect to the source. The construction of a new, separated dimension where the cycle of fractal experiences will take place. The great sacrifice for all forms of experiences in existence is that it cannot reconnect directly to the source. It is bound to resist until it transcends itself to become a foundation for new forms of existence. You are the result of a form-finding transcendence, and the only way to feel whole again is to transcend your own form. Extremities are a result of a form of experience trying to adapt to its harsh environment. The further from its transcendental state a form of experience is, the less is the ability to adapt to the reality of the great sacrifice. The less is the ability to adapt to the reality, the more resistance towards its own form of experience. The more resistance toward its own form, the more energy is transferred toward resisting the form of experience. If a form of experience cannot find a way to release the potential energy in a way that it will help toward its transcendence, the potential energy builds up in resistance. If the amount of potential energy in resistance a form holds is bigger than its capacity to support it, the unstable form will eventually break what is holding its symmetry. The breaking of symmetry will release the potential energy and affect the environment, as well as putting an end to the specific form of unstable experience of existence. In other words, extremities characterizes the extreme degree on the spectrum to which the forms opposes resistance toward existence. A highly energized form can only stay in experience for so long because of its stability. We can now talk about balance. There is two interpretations to take in account with the term balance. Balance toward the self and balance toward the environment. Balance toward the self is what helps the form keep its authenticity. It is related to the interactions regarding the point of reference or the form itself. Balance toward the self helps the form interact from the inside out. Balance toward the environment is what helps the form keep its integrity. It is related to the interactions regarding the perspective the form has. Balance toward the environment helps the form interpret its experience of existence and react accordingly. We are now at the end of Lesson 3, and I hope you have a better understanding of the whole picture I'm trying to paint with the Formless Teaching Lesson series. If you followed me correctly since the start, you will come to see that what I want to bring to the world is a form of balance. An interpretation of the fractal experience of existence that is fitting to our form. My final message of conclusion about Lesson 3 would be to seek the balance in yourself and around you, whatever form it may take. Thank you very much. If you would like to help me buy treats for my cats, or simply want to support me into releasing content more often, come support me on Patreon. The tiers are cheap, and you get 2 professional pictures of my cats per week. Thank you for reviewing.